Do your teams regularly experience moments where ageism might creep in to your community? Well, if you're in senior living, this definitely can happen. So in this video, I'm going to give you a few tips, tools, and tactics how to help your teams understand ageism and maybe what to do when they see some of these discriminatory behaviors. This is Kathy Perry, corporate energy expert. Please subscribe to the channel so you get more tips, tools, and tactics. And why don't you go ahead and schedule a strategy session with me if you like what you hear and you want to talk more about it. So ageism is what I like to call one of the last acceptable forms of discrimination. We all discriminate at some level based on our age, and whether that happens when we are looking at young children, or we're making a disparaging comment about teenagers and their behaviors, or even when it comes to our own residents within our communities. And often it doesn't have to do with your staff having a discriminatory attitude, but even other residents discriminating against other residents based on age or ability, which is ableism, not just ageism. So what can you do to help this? First, educate your staff on what some of those things are. What are ageism or age discrimination types of behaviors? Is someone being excluded from activities based on their age? Are they not able to join at dining? Or are there disparaging comments made? So that's kind of the first thing. Do you have a program in place that's helping educate your team members on what ageism is? Do members of your team give preferential treatment maybe to those residents that are, more able to do things? Maybe, there's often like a younger group that is a little bit more vibrant and active, and your team might be able to take them on an outing outside or a walk, and they engage maybe a little bit more. And sometimes that's a natural thing because there is more give and take. But please help your staff understand that those feelings of isolation and loneliness can creep in when someone who is older than maybe the rest of the group feels like they're being excluded. So come up with a method that they can be checked in on. Has enough interaction happened with Mr. Jackson today? Has he been engaged in a way that works for him? Identify those situations. Next, is your team or staff using ageism language that might really, not be appropriate? Saying things, oh, well, look at you, young lady. Don't you look beautiful today? Implying that young women look beautiful. I know it seems like a compliment in calling one of our elders young, but it can be a little bit of a flip and help in their brain thinking, well, if I was even younger, I might look even better. So just watching the way the language happens. And this also happens. I just heard my 90-year-old dad tell me a story about him helping an 85-year-old woman recently, and he said, I told her, young lady, make sure that you tell your family how much I helped you. And so it's ingrained in us to think that younger is better, but just watching the language that is used when we are addressing our elders. And then a final way that I've seen where some of this ageism can come into a community is actually downplaying maybe some of your elder residents. Maybe you're on a tour and you don't engage with some of the older residents because you don't want to feel like, oh, this is a place for old people. We hear that all the time, on our sales and marketing teams, that, well, they're coming on a tour, but they don't want to live with a bunch of old people. This is a difficult thing to get over because there's no doubt when we look at the age of somebody, we can use the word old, but really always trying to use that language of elders or our residents, or especially calling them by first name and really elevating that they are just part of the community. So including all people in your community so that everyone who might be entering the community can see them. I know there's a lot going on with inclusion at many of your communities where, skilled nursing residents are also part of assisted living dining or independent living. So trying to create that inclusive attitude is so important to combat these mindsets of aging. So I hope those tips, tools, and tactics gave you a little bit to think about today, especially as we move into thinking about more and more ending this type of discrimination. And I do call it discrimination. So what could your teams be doing this week, today, as an ongoing campaign to really look at how they are addressing residents and how residents address each other? If you want to hop on a strategy call and work through some tips and tools that you can be using, please reach out to me. It's no cost. It's just, 20, 30 minutes, and I'll listen to some of the stuff going on and give you some tactics that maybe you can use. So thanks so much for watching. This is Kathy Perry, helping you and your teams power up so you can serve with joy.